Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and before I get into the reading I wanted to start with the channel announcements. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I've recently added in some new selections for channeled letters and the video and written readings. I have a few more ideas that I'm going to be adding in the next few weeks. So if you haven't been over to my Etsy shop in a while, you might want to check that out. And if you are new to my Etsy shop, then I think that you'll find that there's quite a variety to choose from, different topics and whatnot. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out. I've launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subjects that I cover are related to spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. So as far as this reading is concerned, there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Desert Rose Selenite. Group 2 is the Black Moonstone. And group 3 is the African Jade. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps, and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Desert Rose Selenite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now? And they say you look so happy without me, so they could definitely be watching you on social media, checking out your photos, noticing a recognizable glow up within you. If this had been kind of a painful period of separation between the two of you, you've had some kind of a fight or a disagreement, or you've kind of hit a wall in your connection, they see you as really thriving at this point in time. Staying strong, carrying on, working towards your own abundance and wellness. They are seeing you as somebody who's really prioritizing your own healing needs at this time, and it's something that is really causing them to see you in a very vibrant light. It almost feels that they may have been perceiving the connection or you in the past from kind of a distorted lens, almost the energy of kind of thinking that you're too good to be true, and so looking for flaws where there may have almost been none, creating cracks or fissures in the connection because the stability of it was almost, again, too good to be true. And in the aftermath of whatever that is, whether it has just kind of made you question or doubt their intentions or their interest in you, their focus on reconciliation or taking things to the next level, continuing to evolve, no matter what the connection looks like for you at this point in time, it's definitely something where they are seeing you from fresh eyes. They are seeing how a lot of what might have been projected upon you in the past was a reflection of their own kind of wounding, their own distortions, fear of commitment within themselves, fear of, again, the situation being too good to be true. And through some kind of distance space that has been created, they've had time to reflect and are seeing you as somebody that they want to move closer towards. There's a sense of really yearning for your light, yearning for your presence in their life, and a lot of inspiration that they are getting as well, maybe through things that you are very vocal about, very public about, as far as your healing journey, your ascension journey. This can even just tie into vibrationally what they're noticing within you. It's really encouraging them to kind of pick themselves up out of sort of a rock bottom energy or some kind of difficulty, a lot of kind of currents of fear that they are trying to sort of navigate away from, that they may not even consciously recognize as kind of the result of whatever it is you are emanating or representing vibrationally. It comes through. It's a glow in your aura. You look good. You seem very empowered. You seem very much to have reached this place of self-mastery within, in your life in general, and as it pertains to the circumstances between you and this individual. And it's really an inspiration for them to start to look around and do some of the healing work within themselves that may be really at the forefront of their task list at this point in time. And they also say we have so many beautiful memories. So they could be looking back over old photos, conversations that the two of you have had, a lot of nostalgia here, wishing that they had treated you better or appreciated you more before some kind of distance, separation, misunderstanding, confusion, or even a situation of outright kind of ghosting or blocking had taken place. Feeling this urge to course correct, but not really being sure how to approach you, how to open those lines of communication. Again, something that might be very apparent to them that they need to work on within themselves before they are in a place of feeling at that optimal vibration within, making those changes, having that glow up in their own life to be able to provide you with something measurable, to recapture the good times that you have had, to courageously sort of talk about those difficult subjects, to navigate over that, those kind of troubled waters with you, to move into a place of calm where you can reestablish the connection, you can build in a different direction, someone who's interested in kind of leaning more into the situation as opposed to continuing to sort of pull back as they have been doing up to this point in time. They also say, I try so hard to ignore you. So they may be getting a lot of signs that are pointing them in your direction, a lot coming through as far as telepathy, dreams that are significant as well. And it feels like something where there's this overwhelming sort of urge to reach out, to open those lines of communication, to discuss these phenomena with you, kind of compare notes with you as far as how you are holding their energy at this point in time. Have you moved on? Are you still interested in them? Do you see a future with them? And a lot of kind of like fear-based energy here that is causing them to almost doubt the answers that they would get, searching for clues just in terms of like this observation. So maybe kind of like watching from the shadows, kind of like Page of Swords energy with that, but not yet feeling courageous enough to take those definitive steps towards you. Still needing to kind of confront or work through some kind of lack or loss within themselves, maybe through their actions up to this point in the connection. Even if you're still in contact with this person, it feels like something where they didn't value you as much as they could have in the past. Definitely seeing you as somebody who is wish fulfillment, but at the same time, there's a questioning there as far as if this is too good to be true. And this nudge that is happening within them, and again, signs they may be getting external to themselves that is urging them forward, pushing them past those kind of barricades of doubt to lean into a space of trust and flow back in your direction, or to open up more deeply to this connection. But there's still some resistance on their part to fully surrender or trust in that process and this nudge that they are really being urged toward with you. And 4 cards came out from this next deck, so I will take all 4. And they say, I know I keep giving you mixed signals. I know I can be hot and cold. So this can tie into somebody that you are in communication with currently, and there may be times where you're really vibing with one another. You really are on the same page. It's something that even beyond the words that are said, there's this harmony, this kind of symphony that occurs between the two of you. A sense of that glow that they sense within you, that it's almost like sparked within them, that it's this mutual energy of reciprocity that may kind of give you the impression, maybe through words that they are saying, maybe just even through the energy of that, the vibration of these interactions, that things are headed in a better direction with one another, only to have this person kind of buckle when they're confronted with this element of fear, these unhealed things within themselves that are causing them to doubt kind of the nature of this connection, the element of you really feeling like wish fulfillment for them in a lot of ways. So it's almost like getting your hopes up only to sort of back away again. If you're not in contact with this person, this can even talk about like energetically feeling them coming towards you. Almost like this cloud of their energy, very uplifting, a lot of warmth directed towards you, which may really, kind of coincide with signs that you are getting, that movement is possible, a sense within you that the situation's getting ready to shift. And it's almost like this anticipation only to have them kind of dissipate once again, or sort of clam up. This may be a cycle that you're used to with them. It may be something now, even at this point in time, where when you feel their energy kind of rising up from within you, it's just sort of, oh, you again? Okay, you're back again at this point in time, only to pull away. So a bit of sort of a jaded energy that is starting to come up in this situation. And it feels that this is very much registered by this individual. This may be motivating them to try a different approach, to really start to get serious within themselves about what is causing them to not follow through on that kind of draw back in your direction, needing to kind of come to a place of clarity and balance within themselves first and foremost before they are able to create measurable change in the circumstance with you. And they also say, I am so lost right now. I am confused. So this is that wishy-washy energy, not sure how to approach you, not sure how to course correct in this situation. Have you moved on? Is this situation salvageable? Still some doubt about, are you too good to be true? Are they just building this up to be something more than it is? Are they focused too much on the potential and not concentrating enough on the reality of the circumstances? A lot of kind of motivation, but then it's almost like they're being confronted by kind of these worst case scenarios, these doubts that stop them from being very consistent at this point in time. Again, kind of like ebbing and flowing towards you, a warmth or an injection of their energy, only to have them kind of pull away again, or just kind of dissipate as quickly as they've come towards you. Whether this is, someone you're dealing with in the here and now in the physical world, again, the nature of those conversations and interactions interactions. It could be different day to day. Like, you almost don't know what you're going to get with this person. One day it could be very, a very fulfilling interaction with them. The vibes are there, the words that are spoken, there's a lot that is really enriching about those interactions. There's, words inside of words, even a lot of telepathy going on, feeling very close with them, very intimate with them at the soul level through these kind of, deep interactions, even if it's just about things on a mundane level, and having this kind of hope that things are moving in a very positive direction with the two of you, only to have like the next encounter with them. They're bringing forth a lot of negativity. They're almost like deliberately blocking that urge towards you. Again, a lot of this sort of like self-doubt, a lot of this feeling of skepticism, really, stemming from disappointments in love in their past, that they are tasked at this point in time of kind of releasing these things in order to consistently move towards you, to flow with the evolution of this connection in whatever way that might look like. They also say, you make my heart skip a beat. I get butterflies whenever we talk. So definitely, if this is someone you're in communication with, it's almost like they're getting high off the interactions with you. They're kind of riding this cloud or this wave, and it feels so good. Just even very simple, very mundane interactions with you. There's something vibrationally that it's different from the way that they are interacting with others. This goes beyond just kind of merely a crush. Or if you're watching this reading for somebody that is just a crush at this point in time, there's a depth to this situation that goes beyond just puppy love. It's something that is making them want to invest more. It's giving them kind of these visions, or this envisioning of something very long-term with you, wanting to build something greater than what you're experiencing together at this point in time, which may be very inviting for them, but at the same time kind of brings up from their subconscious and, from their kind of like deeply buried past, or even not so deeply buried past, things that are in the recent past, a lot of kind of unhealed heartbreaks. It almost shows them sort of the blockages within themselves that stand in the way of follow through in this circumstance and situation. But it feels like they're almost kind of like taking that path of fear at this point in time, feeling very overwhelmed, rather than looking at these things as challenges that can be overcome in the interest of developing this situation further, exploring these feelings further. That it's a lot of that hot and cold energy. It's that wishy-washy. It's leaning in only to sort of retreat and kind of put the brakes on. And the mixed signals may be something which is really frustrating you at this point in time. It may be leading you to act differently or react differently to this person. Now you're setting up some healthy boundaries and barriers that sort of puts a wrench in their plans. It changes how they've been approaching you up to this point in time. And it almost feels like a vehicle that is very necessary for them to take a different perspective to this situation, push through that fear and lean into the energy of growth and potential, rather than kind of relying on those worst case scenarios, or even things that may be kind of irrational that are coming up from the surface, or from the depths to the surface, that is really sort of instigated by this situation. But they definitely enjoy the time that you spend together. If this is somebody that you are in no contact with, this can even tie into the idea of looking back over those beautiful memories and still being very much affected by you. No matter how much time has passed, no matter what note you kind of left things on with one another, there's a sense of being very drawn to you, still very affected by you across the distance, across time and space, across any kind of like walls of silence. And it feels that this is both very alluring and at the same time very confusing to this individual. They haven't experienced something like this, the intensity and nature and kind of like multi-layered aspect, this mind, body, spirit, and soul attraction that they have to you, very much feeling you in the heart space, despite what has happened, despite any kind of resolve that they have made, despite the efforts to sort of push you away or extinguish these feelings. They're still very much affected by you, and it's something which is getting harder and harder to ignore. They're taking note. They're being shown signs, even in the external sense, through the universe, the synchronicity, seeing your name, seeing reminders of you, little things that would be kind of only known to the two of you, like little inside jokes, or just particular phrases, something that kind of like brings their attention back to exchanges that they've had with you. And so it's very much, it feels very confusing for this person, just how deeply they're affected by these little things. Despite the actions that they've taken, maybe to cut off communication or to run from this circumstance, or if it's been a significant amount of time, and that's, relative, the idea of significant time, take that as it resonates for your situation, but it's almost, it's coming through that it's almost like yesterday that they were with you, that the times were really good between the two of you, and that you still managed to sort of spark or inspire this very deep and electric feeling within them, despite what has happened. And we also have please forgive me. So yeah, they may be contemplating an apology, wanting to course correct, starting to really understand how their conduct, either presently in this circumstance or in the past, it was motivated by a lot of fear, by a lot of doubt, by a lot of uncertainty, not receiving the blessing of this situation, not trusting in this connection to be different from what they've known in love, from their own personal past. And this feels like somebody who's really acknowledging and starting to understand how they've kind of almost gotten in their own way in this circumstance. So that might be very difficult to kind of come from that place of pride and ego and stubbornness and sort of soften into the stance of humility and surrender and trust that is necessary to create change in this circumstance. And they also say our hearts recognize each other at the soul level. So this really confirms that kind of otherworldly bond between the two of you, a deep soul connection, definitely a past life connection between the two of you, something that kind of defies what they have known of love and partnership up to this point in time. The intensity and nature of that could have been very alluring and at the same time very frightening, very overwhelming. In some way, even if this is, on the surface, everything looks like just your average ordinary connection between two people, whether that is friendship, whether that is, a crush situation, if this is somebody that you were in a romantic partnership with and are now in separation with, or things have kind of like hit a wall in this circumstance, there's this other layer to this situation. There's something which is really kind of sparked and awakened, a lot of inspirational energy, which is very uncommon for this person in terms of their dealings with other people or their past experiences of love and partnership. It's very much outside of the box for them. And while there is this curiosity to explore more, there's this draw in that direction. There is also this energy of a lot of skepticism, a lot of doubt, again, that too good to be true kind of energy that may have caused them to sort of withdraw, or as much as they sort of like lean into you with what they are displaying, if you're in contact with one another, or energetically if it's a no contact situation, it's again leaning in, putting all that focus and attention, only to kind of get to this point, sort of this brink of change, this potential to make a different decision, to lean in and participate, and they keep choosing the path of fear, sort of like leaning in only to sort of retreat again. And they also say you still occupy a space in my heart. So this is definitely not a situation of out of sight, out of mind. If this person has put the brakes on in the situation in some way, trying to act nonchalant, trying to act very unbothered, distract themselves from memories of you, or if it's kind of, the hot and cold energy and they've gone kind of cold on you, they're trying to be very just businesslike in their approach to the situation. If you're still in contact with one another, there's still this energy of being very much moved by you, butterflies when you speak, when you're interacting with one another, that again goes beyond like puppy love or a crush. This is something deeply at the soul level where they are moved by you. You have awakened something within them that they didn't even know existed within them. This is more than the energy of just reawakening a heart that may have been closed down for some point in time. This is something at the soul level, a component of themselves they weren't even aware of, that comes with its own kind of like series of blockages and obstacles. It's all new territory for this person. It completely throws out the window everything that they have known of love and partnerships before. And so it is calling them in, it is beckoning them towards you, and at the same time, it's bringing up a lot of fears, these fears of the unknown. Try as they might to distance themselves, cut off communication, try to approach it from a very like platonic standpoint, keeping the focus just on the mundane and the practical and the sensible in this situation. There's something that has been awakened within them at the heart level and at the soul level that can't be put back to sleep. It can't be quieted. There's too many signs coming in from the outside world. There's too much coming up from within them. There's still this very visceral reaction to you in a way of motivation, deeply triggered and deeply motivated by you all at the same time, that they can't run from, they can't escape, and they're really struggling to kind of wrap their logical mind around it. That may be that kind of struggle, that element of fear is they're drawn towards you at the heart level, at the soul level, and then the logical mind, the ego, really comes in and tries to explain everything, tries to quantify everything, sows those seeds of doubt that kind of thwart this path of trust that they embark upon, and it causes them to sort of like retreat, get into their own head, get into their own mind, get very caught up in this tangle or this almost like rat's nest of worst case scenarios and possibilities, and what does this mean? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for us? And so it's definitely somebody who's kind of like, they're getting in their own way. It's not for a lack of interest that your situation has kind of like stalled, or you may find yourself in no contact. It's actually a lot of interest that they have towards you, but that they're really struggling to kind of like wrap their mind around it. And they also say, my heart lost its direction. So another confirmation of that, them feeling so lost, very confused right now, not really sure how to fix the situation, what any of this means, what the greater implications are, because beyond these kind of feelings, there's definitely something that is stirred within this person at the soul level. This is awakening energy. This is ascension energy. It may be a struggle to kind of keep their bearings through all of this, the changes that they're being called to make or that are happening to them in their life through this shift in their vibration. This alteration within is like creating dissonance in their material surroundings. And so it's almost a struggle to kind of make sense of all of that. And then when they keep coming back to you, or the times when they interact with you, and it's like all of this certainty, all of this momentum stirs up within them, and it's pulling them towards you. But then they're really struggling to sort of like let go of a particular worldview, to let go of some triggers or wounding around love and partnership from the past. So it's like it's a dance within themselves. It's a push-pull dynamic. As much as they may be giving you mixed signals, that same energy is happening within. This person is just swaying back and forth throughout the day. They're going everywhere, to these, leaning into these scenarios of hopefulness, and at the same time a lot of fear. So it's definitely, not out of any kind of like malice or sort of like malignancy that they're trying to really present as very confused. It's an emanation of the fact that they truly are very confused within themselves, kind of what to do about this situation. Something has been awakened or activated within them that they just can't shut down, and they're kind of like swinging in this pendulum here between the path of love and the path of fear. And so in this kind of process here, they're definitely recognizing you. They're recognizing your light. They're recognizing you as this point that they're trying to move toward, and almost kind of actively getting in their own way. Sort of they are the interference for themselves that sort of prevents them from that consistency and follow through at this time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got P, B, E, C, T, L, H, G, D, and W. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the black Moonstone. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know at this time? Okay, and so we have, it is so hard to express my feelings. So this person's love language could definitely be actions, gestures of love, gift giving, for example, or even just time and attention. When it comes to really speaking the truth of their heart, this may have been something where they didn't really have examples of this growing up. They may have grown up in a household where feelings were, kind of described, or they were made to believe that it was almost like a sign of weakness to show vulnerability, to talk about one's feelings. They could have been really shamed or ridiculed at some point in time, maybe through growing up, or through some kind of like early rejection in love and partnership, where when they had been very vulnerable, they had opened up about the truth of their feelings and had been rejected. This is something that they've held on to. And it may be something that has really created some difficulties in this situation, an urge that they have felt to move towards you. Either that then the lack of that resulted in a no contact situation, or if this is somebody that you're still dealing with at this point in time, it almost feels that the connection has kind of stalled, or like the ball's in their court, but they're not taking that initiative. They're not taking that next step. You've given them all the signs and the clues and the indicators. You've made the effort, and now it's on this person to reciprocate towards you, to not just make innuendos, not just give little nuggets or clues or hints, or be a little bit sort of sneaky about that. A lot of suggestion here that it's time for a direct conversation. It's time for some kind of declaration of truth about their feelings. And this is something that is very much like a trigger for this person. It's something that is very much outside of their comfort zone. They may not have very much experience with that. It again is not part of their usual love language, but it feels like what's required at this point to either restart the connection or to pivot the situation forward to the next layer or level. It feels that you've really given a lot to this person energetically. You've been very honest, you've been very forthright with what it is you feel, what it is you intend, and they may have left you with a lot of questions, kind of a lack of response, or almost just like changing the subject, or trying to kind of divert the conversation in some way away from feelings, away from that very necessary conversation that needs to take place, away from that declaration of feelings that may be very obvious between the two of you but remains unspoken at this point in time. This can even tie into a no contact situation with somebody, and like an apology is owed, and they're really struggling to kind of come down out of pride and ego into a space of humility, doing the right thing in this situation. regardless of the outcome of that. Kind of a fear of rejection could be holding them back, whether, again, no contact or somebody that you're currently dealing with. It's the prospect of if they sort of open up their heart, if they are very open with these feelings, which may even be a struggle. They may not even know how to describe what it is that they're feeling, or the magnitude of what they feel for you defies explanation. It is unlike what they've known before. And so they're struggling to really kind of quantify that, put some kind of logical explanation to it, and it feels like something that they're sort of mulling this over, but almost like taking their time, kind of like Knight of Pentacles energy almost, kind of dragging their heels in, looking to almost perfect the situation or some kind of a declaration, but to almost like into the shadow element of it, where it's over planning, it's over strategizing, it's trying to get everything too neat and tidy before they make that move towards you, and it's just resulting in delays, delays in the delivery of an apology, delays in a declaration of feelings that could open the door to the two of you building in a new direction with one another. But it's definitely, they do have feelings for you, deeper feelings for you than they've explained up to this point in time, or feelings that still persist for you. You're still in their heart, you're still in their mind, despite a period of separation. They also say, I'm afraid to reach out and call you. So again, somebody in a no contact situation, someone from your past who may be very well aware that an apology is owed, it is in order. They're being very pulled in that direction, but there's this hesitation, not being sure if you would even hear them out, fearing rejection, I'm hearing fearing your wrath. So maybe something, based on the circumstances of how they left things with you, something that was said in the past, this idea of not being able to really express their feelings properly. They may have really put their foot in their mouth or offended you in some way, kind of given you mixed signals. And there's a sense of them recognizing, maybe through an ultimatum that you gave them, or something that they're perceiving in your vibration energetically, you're not going to put up with nonsense. And so it's almost this energy of trying to reach and strive for too much perfection, like perfectionism or over perfection, in kind of a shadowy aspect that is holding them back from at least making the effort, because they don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to further complicate the situation. They don't want to, outright be rejected or ridiculed in some manner. So this is somebody who has this urge to say something, to deliver something. If this is somebody you're currently in contact with and the connection is kind of like waiting to evolve to the next level, there's an urge on their part to do that, to express something, to speak those words that are very obvious between the two of you, but at this point in time have not been outwardly declared. These things have not been discussed, and they're very well aware of that it's, again, ball is in their court to take things to the next level, to be the one to take those steps forward. They're seeing you, even if there's kind of a doubt of how you might receive them or respond, they are being very much like called towards you. It's something that, as much as they're kind of buckling as far as fear is concerned, there's something within them that keeps pushing them to that point of, just do it, just take that chance, take that leap of faith. But it's a struggle to almost like reach a degree of perfection with that is stopping that action at this point. And they also say, I wish I had a second chance. So again, someone from the past is really heavily in the energy of nostalgia, wanting reconciliation, wanting to mend this connection, wanting a do-over. This is also tying into the idea of somebody who wishes that they could create a different first impression with you, or that maybe opportunities that they had up to this point in time, things were going really well in the conversation, everything was vibing, it was a lot of cohesiveness between the two of you, a stirring within this person, a sense of like these overwhelming emotions blooming within them, and this kind of urge to explore that, this sense of seeing you from the eyes of love. Maybe this is that first declaration of, I love you. And it's something that there's almost, they can sense windows of opportunity that have come and gone. And regardless of if this is something that, you're outwardly disappointed about, this feels like somebody who's very disappointed in themselves for not having pushed forward, for having set some kind of prohibitions down in this circumstance, for having some kind of guardedness or walls up around their heart, for giving you the impression maybe that all they wanted to be was friends, that they were not interested in romance with you, or some kind of an impression that, as things were kind of like building between the two of you, the intensity, the intimacy of those interactions was increasing, that this was something, any kind of a representation that they have provided, that this is only one-sided or it's not mutually felt. There's a lot of regret as far as that is concerned, with not sort of leaning more deeply into that, opening up those lines of conversation, taking things slowly, but at the same time evolving in the nature of what you're talking about with one another, and how you're kind of expressing feelings. You may have expressed some feelings, some degree of kind of like vulnerability or openness, and the response from this person was almost like a stonewalling, or they didn't reciprocate in kind in a way that kind of helped the connection, but it's something that is almost just it's kind of limited or dissipated the potential that existed, and it feels like a roadblock that they're kind of stumbling around. They're very stuck as far as how to move things beyond that point, and kind of getting in their own way, a lot of self-criticism, and again, this energy of like wanting to overly perfect before they take things to the next level. And they also say, I'm scared, I get too nervous. So more of that energy of really being like intimidated by you on a certain level, maybe even just energetically. This can even tie into somebody that has deep feelings for you, like counterpart energy, soulmate energy. They may consider you to be their twin flame, their twin soul, something of that nature. And that idea of this, of speaking those words out loud, taking that step, opening a door that once that occurs, there's no closing that, there's no going back from that. And it feels like something that they've been presented with on multiple occasions. They have had this urge to either make things right, or to speak some kind of truth that then opens up a new line of discussion. It takes things to the next layer or level between the two of you, but their nerves get the best of them. And if this is someone that you're dealing with in real time, like currently, it almost feels that there's this nudge towards you where everything is just very much in alignment, between you and the energy that you're exchanging with one another. And it almost feels to be that letdown then, that they let the moment pass by in some manner, and you can almost kind of pick up this nervous anxiety energy from them. That could be sending up red flags for you as well. Like, what is this person holding back? Is there something like duplicitous or nefarious going on here? Because you're picking up, you're sensing that kind of resonant vibration of almost like guilt and shame within themselves, that is stemming from their inability to act up to this point in time, for how they're really kind of like being very hard on themselves for not having moved towards you more confidently, done what was necessary in order to solidify this situation or take things to the next level, open those lines of communication. There's an urge to do that, and yet at the same time, a lot of fear, a fear of what the two of you might find and discover if you enter into, matters of the heart, or more deeply into matters of the heart with one another. Or again, somebody from the past who's just kind of scared about what response are they going to get. Maybe it's too little too late, too much time has passed. Maybe you've grown and evolved beyond them. Almost like the tables having been turned. If this is something where you had been questioning your feelings for this person, is this a mirage? Is this an illusion? Is this all in my head? Is this all wishful thinking? Ways in which you may have detached from that. You've come to a place of acceptance and peace and have moved on, shifted your focus. Now this individual's in that same energy that you were in, feeling this intensity, feeling this draw towards you, this pull, a lot of signs and synchronicities, being nudged in your direction, but then almost getting like cold feet, or really questioning that. Is this true? Is this something that they're just kind of like making up in their head? Is this something, where they almost like want something that they can't have at this point in time? So a lot of doubt that is really muddying the waters of what should be a very clear, and what is within them a very clear and known kind of explanation for all of this, that they care deeply for you. They feel something more for you. There's a desire to explore and to give and to reciprocate with you. And it's all of this kind of like logical ego, unhealed wounding energy that is kind of complicating matters. And they also say, sometimes I stare at my phone and become stuck. So another confirmation of somebody who may want to reach out to you from afar. Send a text message, send an email. This feels like somebody who has drafted that on more than one occasion and may have just saved it to a drafts folder, deleted it right at the last minute, had this urge, had this, the signs and the synchronicities and feeling really confident about that, but right at the last minute, they turn around. And so this can be, where quite possibly this is the energy of somebody who almost, it's like they're going to just have to sort of stumble into that leap of faith. One of these days they're going to accidentally hit send, and you may get, that message, that text message, that email, that DM over social media that you've been waiting for, something that almost like slips out. There's an element of frustration here, like the universe is getting very frustrated with this person. Their higher self is getting very frustrated. Your higher self is getting very frustrated. Again, balls in their court, and it feels that their fear is kind of like holding up the next layer of at least putting themselves out there to see, can the situation be repaired? Putting themselves out there to see what happens if we explore kind of the deeper romantic implications of this connection, of this situation. And it feels that as much as they're kind of leaning into the current of fear, the universe and their higher self, it's and kind of like fate and destiny almost, is going to push this person past that threshold to where what may come through, whatever that sort of communication is, it's not the first time that they've thought about this. It's almost like a 10th draft or a 100th draft of a conversation, something they've rehearsed in their mind, something that they've actually kind of like written out and then just scrapped because they weren't satisfied with it, so that whatever comes in, it may feel very out of the blue, very sudden, but it is something that they have been contemplating, they've been mulling over, they've been rehearsing, or trying to perfect for quite some time, longer than you would imagine. And they also say, I hear a million voices in my head telling me the things I should have said. So again, like windows of opportunity that have come and gone, that have closed for this person. They're really getting in their own way as far as, just kind of taking that example from the past, living and learning, trying to do better, taking a different approach, being confident where in the past they were fearful. A lot of kind of these worst case scenarios as well. It feels like someone who's rehearsing the conversation or the interaction and seeing how it could go one of so many different ways. And there are all these kind of possible scenarios where things go really well between the two of you. That pulls them towards you. And then they almost get tangled up in this energy of, but what if there's rejection? What if it's, they're met with kind of this very brisk or very abrupt energy? What if you ignore them? What if you reject them? What if you're really cruel or mean to them? What if you dish out to them what they dished out to you in the past? If they were very kind of callous and cutting with their words, there's a fear of that, of like the repercussions of that coming back around to them. They may have actually experienced a lot of karma, a lot of things coming full circle to them in other areas of their life, a lot of tower moments that have caused them to almost enter into this season of trying to make things right, trying to make amends. You're on this list of people that they need to be honest with, they need to clear the air with, but it's almost like they're kind of conditioned into this fear at this point in time because of all of these other kind of sort of like karmic energies that they've been needing to sort of answer for. And they're well aware of some kind of untruth, some kind of conduct with you in the past, that there's almost a sense of feeling that it won't be so easy to just come back into your life, that there's going to be some difficulties, there's going to be some strife or, some kind of pressure or almost like negativity they're feeling that they're going to need to deal with. They need to kind of move through that in order to reach that place of calmer waters with you. That applies especially if this is somebody from your past. And so it almost feels that's the hesitation that is kind of like, it's reminding them of where they went wrong in this situation, knowing that they need to course correct, but really fearing kind of opening that box of memories once again. If this is somebody new that you're dealing with or that you're currently dealing with, this can talk about, like past rejection, past heartbreaks, times where they almost really maybe tried to move forward towards you, stumbled, didn't say enough, maybe came on too strong. It wasn't like the right approach. And so they're almost building up any kind of defeats or a perception of defeat at this point in time. It's an obstacle to trying again, to, navigating from a different approach in this situation. And they also say, sometimes I wonder if saying I'm sorry is enough. So again, someone from the past may want to apologize, course correct, make amends with you. A sense of recognition that if this is someone you're dealing with previously, that it definitely will take more than just words of apology. Actions are what are required at this point in time, that they have to prove to you, they have to show to you a renewed interest, awareness of kind of where they went wrong in the past, a greater appreciation for you than they had displayed previously. If this is somebody new that you're dealing with, it again is this idea of kind of like wishing that they had the ability to make a different first impression. Same kind of concept, and understanding that going forward, it's going to require not just kind of speaking words, but like a different approach in general, opening lines of communication of an emotional nature and keeping those lines of communication open. They're understanding that they can't just come forward with something only to sort of pull back again, understanding that mixed signals will serve nobody in this situation. So it's this understanding that they need to be certain, they need to reach that place of certainty, or at least confidence or willingness to trust within themselves before they bring something forth, and in order to create kind of the optimal circumstances when they tap into this potential and this between you. They also say, I'm learning to open my heart. So this can be somebody, past energy, present energy that has a lot of unhealed baggage as far as rejection is concerned. This may be somebody who's a very emotional person by nature, and almost as like a survival mechanism, maybe something through their upbringing, they were really conditioned to sort of shut that down. A lot of things that they just kind of closed away and didn't really heal properly or deal with properly in order to sort of carry on, to press forth in their life. They're learning a new language. It's the language of the heart at this point in time. It feels very much like a risk to open their heart to you, to the potential of rejection, or what's coming through as even worse yet, the potential that they will heal from what has become very much an accustomed sort of heaviness within their heart, like a cloud that sort of follows them around, a pessimism or kind of a jaded view about love and partnerships, that's become so much a part of their core identity. That this healthy and reciprocal love, the possibility, the potential of what they could experience with you, a very beautiful connection. It's so contrary to how they've been moving through the world for a period of time that it's almost like they're fearing, by releasing that kind of these walls, letting these barriers down, that they're going to be losing a part of themselves, losing a part of their identity. And it's a struggle to kind of like let that go, to let that kind of negativity or toxicity or that very kind of limited or diminished vibration go, in the interest of really stepping into the light of love. There may be feelings of unworthiness as well, feeling that they're not good enough, some kind of like programming or conditioning where they feel that love only hurts, or it works out really horribly, or things fall apart, the bottom falls out on circumstances. This may have been the story for them for quite some time. So there's almost a fear of leaning into this connection even more, only to have things fall apart. Someone from your past maybe, where this kind of like fear caused them to self-sabotage, that has not escaped them. They are very much aware of that, and it's kind of a struggle within themselves to really sort of dig deep and find out what is the root of that, what motivated that, what is necessary as far as change within themselves, so that they can come towards you consistently, so they can come towards you with something measurable, something of value, something of meaning, for the two of you to grow and build beyond these circumstances that you find yourselves in. They also say, I didn't know it was safe to love. So another confirmation of somebody with some very strong walls around their heart, and where it may have been a very much a lot of ridicule, a lot of kind of like being left out in the cold as far as times in their past, maybe in their upbringing, other relationships, where they had opened themselves up, they had opened their heart, they had let somebody in, and it had ended very, very badly, very, very kind of like toxic situations, a lot of karmic connections that they've been in, things that they haven't necessarily healed from at this point in time. So they're just carrying all this baggage around with them in their heart. You represent a remedy in some way to them, but a sense of almost like not trusting in that. What they had called love, or what they had viewed love as in the past, it feels like it was really just a mask on some kind of toxicity. You are helping them to understand a different and more almost purified version of what love can be, what they sense with you, the stirrings within you. It may be something that, it's very triggering because it's so unknown. It's so unlike what they've experienced in love and partnerships before, or kind of tracing back to when they have felt that stirring within them previously and how that had ended in kind of like pain, disappointment, and loss. So as much as this connection or you represent some kind of blessing for them from the universe, they're almost like questioning that, or hesitant to really accept that, to feel themselves and recognize themselves as worthy of receiving. And they also say, my mind couldn't understand what my heart felt. So definitely somebody who's trying to over-rationalize these feelings, trying to pick this apart, trying to create explanations, or rather a series of excuses why the situation wouldn't work, why it was just wishful thinking, why it would be a fool's errand to invest in this situation, or to come back with an apology. Definitely a lot of ego and pride at play here, a lot of fear that is keeping them kind of detached from that heart space, but they're trying to open that heart. They're trying to learn to trust. They're trying to lean into this place of, just making that leap of faith, taking that action, taking that small step in the direction of change, whether that is an apology or a very heartfelt declaration. And they also say the truth is the love you gave was too good to be true. Yeah, so a lot of questioning and doubt as far as the long-term sustainability of the connection, a questioning and a doubt as far as maybe other times in their past where they had, opened up to love. They had trusted in that. They had really, believed in that kind of urge towards somebody. And as things fell apart, those wounds, they just kind of stuffed that all down within. It created these walls and barriers and this skepticism. You represent healing for this person in some way. They feel very aligned with you. They feel very alive in your presence. And it is so outside of the box of how they're used to moving through the world that they're very much drawn towards you. And at the same time, a lot of fear causing them to question, wanting to quantify, wanting to explain what is, a matter of the heart. It defies that logic. It's something of a spiritual level. They may be just trying to come up with this list of excuses. This is all just, chemistry. This is all something very visceral. It's just, physical attraction. It's there, it doesn't have what it takes to turn into something lasting and meaning. It's all these excuses that are kind of like keeping them away from the truth of their heart, which is they want this, they want to explore this, they want to see if the situation can be repaired, or they want to see what the two of you can become together if you open that door to a deeper way of relating to one another and to an expression of feelings that have been held inside for quite some time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got E, H, F, V, C, G, and D. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the African Jade. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks. And let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and they say, I didn't see your value and true worth. So distance has been created in this situation. If this is somebody that you're currently dealing with and maybe things have gone cold, there's some awkwardness, there's space that has been created or that has been needed to be created. Maybe this is something that was deliberately done or just through circumstances and events where you are now able to spend less time with one another than you had before. This has actually worked to the benefit of this situation, where now this person is able to recognize and almost see and perceive you energetically and the importance of your presence in their life from this altered perspective. Now that they're not so engrossed or so enmeshed on a regular or reoccurring basis in interacting with you and in your energy, it's given them the space to really kind of process, to unpack, to digest your interactions up to this point in time, your energy as compared to theirs, what they feel when they're with you, what they're feeling now that you're apart. It's opening up a space as well for some deeper kind of like revelations and truths as far as the significance of your connection, who you represent to them, what they want and desire with you going forward. A greater understanding of kind of the meaning and purpose for the two of you in one another's lives up to this point in time, a deeper sense of appreciation for you, almost like appreciating what they have now that it's gone or it's a little bit remote or distant from them. If this is somebody that you're in no contact with, somebody from your past, that same principle applies, that the time and the space, the distance has served this connection well. It has served this person well. This feels like something that was almost a very passive process here, where they were not actively seeking to sort of unpack all of this, and yet just the space that has been created, it has allowed a lot of the energies that were exchanged between the two of you to be digested in a different kind of manner. It is allowing that clarity and that intuition to really kick in on their part. Almost like when they were closer to you, or they were more, in your presence, in your world, they almost couldn't, they were too close. They couldn't see that reality that was almost just right under their noses the whole time of who you are to them, the importance of this connection, the value of the time spent together, and kind of the deeper implications of the stirrings within them. This is really allowing this individual the time and the space to decipher on a deeper level how the attraction that they have to you, it's beyond skin deep. This is a soul level attraction. There's something really compelling them towards you that is giving them a deeper appreciation for who you are and who the two of you might become together in time. And they also say, I fear you have moved on from me. So this person could be almost wanting to reach out, but fearing that it's like too little too late. A lot of time may have passed, or even a sense of them not taking the initiative that could have created the need for distance, the need for boundaries, the need for barriers in this situation, that in the aftermath of, they have come to a place of greater clarity and appreciation for your presence in their life, how that used to be, the place in their heart and their life that you filled, that nobody else has been able to kind of meet that meet that standard. Nobody else has been able to sort of reach this person that deeply. They're craving this intimacy with you. They're craving a renewal in this situation, to deepen that bond, or to restart that bond, wishing they could turn back the hands of time, and appreciate you more, or to speak some kind of deep truth that they had held within, but that was not apparent to them at the time. It really, a lot has become clear through whatever distance and separation has been created. But now there's this reflection of, because they did not value and appreciate you, or they weren't able to really recognize who you were to them, or sort of what was happening beyond just the mundane aspects of the two of you, exchanging energy or talking with one another, spending time with one another. Now that something has become apparent, or the pieces are starting to be put together at the soul level with them, there's this fear of like, have they missed out on this opportunity for good? There's almost like this panic that's setting in. Like, how could they have been so blind and so oblivious? How could they have been so fixed in a certain perception, or so closed down to the possibility and the reality of what they were being presented with? A lot of synchronicities in this situation, a lot of kind of like deja vu, or things that really were activated or sparked within this person through their interactions with you, as a result of that, and in tandem to that, that they may have almost just compartmentalized these things. They may not have been able to connect those dots necessarily, but in this kind of separation, in this distance that has now been created between the two of you, they're starting to put all those pieces together. They're starting to really fit together, how this is not just an ordinary connection. This is not just something which is stirring romantic feelings. It's almost something which is really activating. It's sparking. It's a co-creative energy at the soul level. You are intrinsically entwined with their kind of awakening journey, with their ascension journey, with a deeper understanding and experience of the potential and power of love, what that could be, what it is beyond what they've known, or beyond what they kind of perceived prior to having encountered you, interacted with you, and exchanged with you. And there's almost this desire to kind of review the past, or wishing that they could take note, or could have appreciated the times you spent together more deeply and more consistently than they had, and a lot of fear that they've missed this opportunity, that now this will be something that they'll always just have to sit with this what if. What could have happened if I had let this person in more? What could have happened if I had not been so blind or so fixed on a particular reality or a definition of what this situation is, what it could be, what it was not, to be able to kind of like open up to the reality of the undefinable qualities and aspects that it represents here, and kind of this fear within them that, are they just going to have to move through the rest of their life sitting in this energy of kind of like regret, or is there a way to kind of course correct in this situation to make up for lost time, or to move closer to you, or to sort of renew or revive the closeness that you once shared? They also say, I wish I had a second chance. So again, more of that energy of wishing they could turn back the hands of time, knowing now what they know about you, what has really become clear, what they are appreciating about you, with you and through you in this kind of distance that has been created, wishing that they could almost travel back armed with that information and make different decisions, to value you more, to cherish you more, to be more patient in this circumstance, to open up to you in a more deep manner, to speak and express, or even consciously explore kind of these nudges within them, that this connection is far from ordinary, that there was something more here than meets the eye, than they were allowing themselves to really understand or to believe. For some of you with the no contact situation, this is somebody who wants a reunion, they want a revival, but they're almost feeling very defeated by that. That again, it's kind of just now their lot in life. It's their punishment to just sort of sit with all of this regret, not necessarily feeling in that confident energy to make changes, but almost just crying over spilled milk in a way. For others, this is something where they're coming to these revelations. They're starting to see, they're starting to perceive, they're starting to digest energetically and in other ways the possibilities here, the implications here. And it's bringing them to a place of becoming very proactive, making an effort, making different choices, seeking to kind of like close that divide between the two of you, bridge the gap between the two of you, cross the lengths, doing what they need to do to provide more to you. If it's somebody that you're in contact with at this point in time, they may be increasing the efforts that they make to you as a reflection of this like revelation that has come up from within. They may not be ready to have that outward conversation yet, but their efforts towards you and their attention will speak volumes beyond what is not spoken. And it feels like just as a prelude to some kind of a discussion that they want, almost like testing the waters to see, are you open to this? Is it too late? Can we try again? Sort of like knowing on a deeper level who you are and wanting to start to co-create with you rather than continue in this kind of almost like a runner chaser or like a lopsided or one-sided kind of energy. There's awareness that has come. There's epiphanies that are coming, and it is changing the way that they are wanting to approach the situation with you. They also say, I can't stop thinking about you. You are always in my dreams. So this person could be very fixated upon you, fixated upon this kind of mind-blowing experience that they have had with you. The revelation that there was a lot more than meets the eye in this circumstance, or a lot that they overlooked at the time. They misjudged, miscategorized you in some manner, misinterpreted what this connection was. And it's something that they can't escape that reality. It's weighing very heavily upon them. How do they move back towards you? How do they make up for lost time? You represent wish fulfillment for them in so many ways. You are a dream come true. This energy of like too good to be true, or some kind of a lack mentality within them could have caused them to put up these blinders to you, to ignore these signs, to overlook who you are, the gift or the blessing that you represent in their life. Dream contact could be very strong between the two of you at this point in time. Meeting in the astral realm, having these conversations, having these exchanges with one another that almost then fills this person with a sense of kind of melancholy when they wake and they can sense your energetic presence. But then they're hit with the reality of all the unspoken words, the way in which they handled you in the past, or kind of overlooked you in some manner, didn't give you the time and attention or respect that you deserve, didn't see you for who you are to them. And it's something where it almost feels like they're dreaming, or kind of like trying to strategize away, almost like wishing on a star kind of for the opportunity to change this situation. To find that strength within, the words to speak that can convey to you a level of affection they may have denied you up to this point in time, or had rather been in denial within themselves about up to this point in time as well. And they also say, I don't want to lose your love. I am afraid I might lose you. So more of that energy of fear of you having moved on, fear of it being too little too late, fear that they will just have to hold on to this burden of what could have happened if they had been a little less fixed and stubborn in their approach or their definition of you, what this situation was, who you are to them, what they were going to allow this circumstance to develop into. This feels like somebody who had some very definite kind of like rules or prohibitions, a very tight definition of what this situation was going to become. It could be nothing more than that. A very kind of like precise and methodical sort of evaluation of the situation. Too much structure in this situation at the expense of really recognizing and answering that call within their heart, this nudge, this energetic push that was encouraging them to let those boundaries down, let those barriers down. They may have come beyond their own personal boundaries at some point in time, which could have really sort of freaked them out, caused them to pull away from you, or self-sabotage, kind of like leaning in, building the intimacy and the connection, only to then, maybe deliver sort of like words or these cold truths, or some very sort of almost like trying to sting you with their words in a way to sort of ebb away, or to pull away from this deepening kind of sense of recognition of who you are. So it's something where now they're starting to understand how they have self-sabotage, fearing that it's like too little too late to self-correct, that trust has been broken or has been eroded, or that they haven't built it up in the proper way in this circumstance. And so, wishing that they had a chance to do things differently, wishing that they almost hadn't been careless with their words, or hadn't kind of resorted to these methods of self-sabotage, hadn't been so rigid in their stance and their definition of what this could be or could not be between the two of you. Something has been stirred and awakened within them. Again, kind of the time and the space has given them a greater perspective of what they were presented with through you in this connection, that it's no accident the two of you have met. And however they had defined the circumstances previously, they are really leaning into this energy of seeing a bigger picture, seeing that their definition, the reality of the circumstance is far beyond that. There are deeper implications here. You represent wish fulfillment for them in a lot of ways that they may have overlooked. These are things that are beyond the surface. These are things that are at the soul level, aspects and elements that have been missing from this person's life and from their experiences up to this point in time, that they almost didn't know that they were needing. They didn't know that they were missing these things until they were confronted with them, chose to almost reject or overlook that, and then have been kind of distanced from that, or these things are in the form of you are now kind of gone to a greater or lesser degree from their life. That is giving them the appreciation and kind of the sense of, what have I done in this circumstance? And they also say true love is hard to find, but I found it with you. So you really represent the full package for this person in a lot of ways. They may have almost been trying to look for flaws, create flaws, getting really caught up in their head, dismissing sort of, this nudge or this urge within them to open up to a greater possibility of who you might be to them, and what this connection could develop into. They're seeing you from a different lens at this point in time. And again, a lot of caught in this feeling of sort of like guilt and shame. How could they have been so blind to overlook what was right in front of their face? How could they have just, kind of treated you the way that they did? How could they have overlooked your value and your worth for so long, or in the ways that they did? A sense of really this connection, you in their life, the effect you still have upon them, this being something that they are now seeing this as the blessing from the universe. This is that wishing upon a star that had come true. This is that prayer that had been coming from within their soul for quite some time that had finally been answered. You may have shown up in a very unconventional manner. You weren't exactly what they were looking for. You came into their life at a time when their attentions were on other things, focused on other things. They could have been seeking something else, perceiving something else as that wish fulfillment, as that happily ever after. And when confronted with the true reality of what would fulfill and sustain them on all levels, there's a sense of not appreciating that, or being unwilling to accept and realize that before, which has then created this sort of distance, this sense of needing that time apart to really understand your true value and your worth, which now they are faced with that conundrum of how to come back from this. Is it even possible? Or is this just something that they will have to move through the rest of their days with this inclination, this knowing that they were really confronted with true, well-rounded, unconditional love, and chose to sort of move in another direction or kind of pass that by? If this is somebody new that you're dealing with, or that you're still currently dealing with, this can talk about all of these intense feelings within them. They may be getting ready to kind of buckle out of this situation, to kind of run from this situation, because of this deep stirring within, that it's bringing up those same kind of fixed concepts and ideas. But if that's the case, then definitely, kind of that prelude to needing that time and space away, needing that period of reflection to be able to appreciate and understand more deeply who you are and what you represent to them. They also say, I do miss talking to you. So they miss your conversations, they miss your laughter, they miss your interactions, the deep exchanges, the surface level exchanges, even the points where you weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye, your patience, the way in which you would make the effort to understand this person, to ask questions, to listen in a very non-judgmental fashion to them. It's something where there's a lot that was not spoken between the two of you, and really recognizing that they've missed an opportunity. And that it's a struggle to come to terms with that, to come to a place of acceptance about that where they find themselves in at this place. Two people obviously were involved in this circumstance. It took both of you, contributions on both your parts to reach this present kind of reality. But they're very much focusing on their role in all of this, what they could have done better, what they should have done better, taking a lot of this weight and responsibility and almost like guilt onto their own shoulders, maybe even in more than they should, or kind of building it up to be something more than it should be, that is sort of thwarting their ability to course correct. The intensity and the nature of what they are starting to understand about these feelings and who you are and kind of your presence in their life, it's making them feel like, are they even worthy or deserving of another chance, to make things right. Deep conversations, a very particular, specific, like a heart-to-heart conversation that needs to take place that they may be thinking about having, they may be thinking about initiating this. Maybe if this is someone from the past, bringing forth that apology, speaking these words, declaring to you what they have learned in the silence and the separation, or if it's somebody that you're dealing with, again, kind of like opening up more deeply at a heart level, but a sense of really seeing that they should have done this long ago, this is long overdue, and really, being very hard on themselves about kind of a rigid stance that they took about this, boundaries that they put upon this situation that didn't need to be there, seeing that they approached you from a very guarded or a very defensive stance, when all you were coming forward to them with was openness and love. And so there's a lot of guilt within themselves as far as how to sort of soothe this situation, how to course correct in this matter. They also say, my mind couldn't understand what my heart felt. So again, somebody who had very specific kind of an idea of what this connection could be, what it could never be, who you are, somebody who may have had kind of like control issues, wanted to set the rules in this situation, was really fighting their heart space when those rules wanted to be sort of thrown out the window, when they were really called to sort of take down those walls, soften that heart, open up to you, open up and explore the possibility and potential of what was being exchanged between the two of you, what the two of you might become to one another. It is this struggle right here. It's this over intellectualizing, this control mechanism, not trusting, not listening to that intuition and to that heart, but just kind of looking at surface definitions or trying to find red flags, trying to focus on kind of the points of where this situation couldn't work, where you're not what they're looking for, rather than sort of leaning into that truth and that reality that you are everything they have ever needed, and that this weighs very heavily upon them, that reality, coming to terms with that, kind of how their actions, how their approach to this situation has sort of yielded the results, the circumstances you find yourselves in at this point in time, struggling at war with their own kind of head and their own heart about what to do in this circumstance. Do they just kind of let more time go by? Do they just sit with this kind of heaviness and guilt within themselves? Or do they take some kind of action? Do they open up? Do they speak some kind of truth? Do they make the effort to apologize, to smooth things out, to build in a different direction with you? And they also say, my heart lost its direction. So this can talk about some kind of a distraction, a fixed view or a reality, really being pulled by the current of fear. The intensity of the feelings that were sparked and awakened for you could have really caused them to lean back into their comfort zone of, maybe like mistrust or some unhealed wounds and disappointments as far as love, recognition of other circumstances where they had opened up, they had trusted their heart, they had let their heart lead, and things had really fallen apart. So a connection, a situation here where, whatever this kind of distance or dissonance is that was created, it's been very beneficial. It's the time and space that this individual has needed to truly recognize who you are, the untapped potential here, what their actions or conduct was sort of like stood in the way of this up to this point in time, and to be able to course correct to you. You represent this true north for this person, and they're slowly but surely being guided through all of this kind of mire within themselves that has prevented them in the past from being very honest with themselves and with you about the nature of these feelings, hopes and dreams that they have for you in the future, for the two of you together, and also this reality that they see you as wish fulfillment in a lot of ways. There's a sense of them leaning into comfort zones, leaning into toxicity, leaning into fixed ideas that had been an issue in the past, but they're starting to try and find their way beyond that, to find their way back to you. And they also say, healing my heart is bringing me closer to my divine purpose. So there is a heart chakra activation or healing that is taking place. They are making the effort within themselves, trying to lean into rather than run from these feelings. The time apart, the distance that has been created, or that has been the case for quite some time, it's slow going to bring down these walls and these barriers and these kind of preconceived notions within them about the nature of love and partnership, the nature of who you are to them, what is possible in this situation. They're still really operating in that energy of fear, of lack. They are needing more time to come to a place of confidence. They now have an awareness of this situation from a different lens. Now they are tasked with kind of taking those walls within and repurposing those into building blocks in which to reach a place of empowerment, a place of trust, a place of willingness to take that leap of faith towards you, to open up, trust in what the stirring is within them, to at least make that effort to explore and see, is it too late? Can we start again? If they had overlooked you in the past, to put that focus, to put that devotion, to put that attention on you, to give you credit for the presence that you are in their life, for the beautiful contribution to the measure of their existence that you have provided, to reciprocate your efforts to create a different kind of intimacy and closeness between the two of you, to build rather than continue to sort of tear down or push away in this circumstance. And the more that they lean into this, the more that they allow themselves to explore this reality and these feelings very actively and consciously within themselves, the more it is bringing them to a place of restoration, healing, and certainty that this connection is again not accidental. Your presence in their life, as it is currently or as it was in the past, brings them a lot of healing. You represent something very different from the other types of people and energies that they currently have around them or that they've been used to dealing with. This is a slow process to step out of the comfort zone, but this is somebody who's trying to learn to trust, trying to lean into that, trying to take those baby steps toward that leap of faith into the unknown, away from sort of unhealed distortions and into the light of love that you represent and that this connection can blossom into with time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got F, W, B, C, I, P, M, and A. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.